Peter Tilden, live and late night, only on Talk Radio, 790 KABC.
10:05. This is Peter Tilden, live and late night from Wirsching at 3rd at my favorite restaurant, which is Fraiche, home of the truffle burger and the amazing seafood pasta, which I had tonight. And this hour is brought to you by Titanic in 3D.
Keep your eyes closed. Don't peek.
I'm not.
Do you trust me?
I trust you.
Open your eyes. Do not let go of my hand!
I'll never let go.
Let go. She lets go. James Cameron invites you to see Titanic in 3D. I hear it's stunning. Titanic 3D stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. It's in theaters everywhere this Wednesday. I'm going. My wife is already. We're going. We are so going. I'm getting the glasses, and I'm going to be on that boat, and we're going to all hold hands together. Joining me now is Jennifer Wirsching. Listen to this bio. Supervising attorney Jennifer J. Wirsching, graduated summa cum laude. Somebody's parents was happy. #1 in her major from UCLA, and also is an expert in marijuana law. That's why we're talking to her tonight. And also Gina Tennen, Esquire, executive managing attorney at Liberty Bell Law. And your focus is serious sex crimes and drug crimes. So I wanted to talk to you today. As I recall, we all voted about for these marijuana laws, okay? And now the Obama administration said we have to put our resources elsewhere. We're not going to bust marijuana shops. We're not going to go after marijuana. Even though the federal law says it's prohibited, the state law says, yes, we passed that law. All of a sudden now, all hell is broken loose. And in the city, they started going after marijuana shops, and I want to talk about that in a minute. But today, the feds went after Oaksterdam University up north, and I know the guy, I've had him on many times, who runs it, who teaches marijuana 101, growing, all that stuff, how to do this for patients with cancer, et cetera. And they not only made a statement by going after his place of business, the university, but they went after his home, his files, his computers, place that he was working with the state to move the collective to, a new place that he was trying to get zoning for and do everything legitimately. Explain to me why why are they doing that now? Why are they putting the resources in that? Is this a political thing for a political year?
You know,
You
really have to ask yourself what that is. I mean, I really can't understand why they would do this other than political motives. I mean, these are people who have complied with the state of California laws.
Meaning what?
Well, they've complied. They've been operating since 2007, completely in the open. They've complied with every city ordinance, with every state ordinance. They've been out there, and they're basically the grassroots advocates for expanding these laws, but they have not been breaking them. And so it seems strange for the federal administration to change their stance from 2009 when they said, look, if people are abiding by state laws, we're going to leave them alone. And these people have been, and yet to publicly attack these people that have been abiding by state laws and who all they're doing is passing on this information about how to legitimately and legally under California law practice medical marijuana distribution, to go after them, it's hard to imagine that it could be anything else but political.
And this guy, I should mention the guy they busted, who's the head of the university.
Yes.
Who created it, is also the guy who's funding the law, correct?
He's also the guy who in the last election funded and drafted actually the last legislation, which unfortunately did not pass.
Was it bad? It was bad legislation, though, was it not?
It was
poorly
flawed.
written?
It was flawed legislation to the degree that any legislation is flawed legislation. I mean, all legislation is difficult to pass, is difficult to get past people. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect, but it was something. It was a start. And so it's hard to imagine that going after someone like this when there are still out there people who are operating dispensaries in California illegally, who
but
are
in
not
the north, let
complying
me
with
ask you a
laws.
question. In the north, I understand you can operate it, but it can't be for profit. Is that correct?
Well, that's actually an open question in California. I mean, the district attorney and the attorney general will throw that around a lot, that you actually can't operate that for profit. But our case law has shown that that's not a settled point. Okay, what profit is, number one, and number two, whether you actually can operate for profit. So it's not a settled point. It's not if you're making money off of this beyond your nonprofit status that it is necessarily illegal.
Okay, got it. Now, Gina, let me ask you this. We had a guy go undercover for us at a pot shop here in L.A., And he said, and he was so nervous about it when he came out, telling us the things he saw, that we had to disguise his voice and couldn't use his name. And what he said in this particular pot shop, and I'm saying they're all this, but he said, gangs, gang money, guns behind the counter, illegal. They were messing with the marijuana, in other words, cutting it so that what they were selling was not, accurate from what you bought. And he said it was a bad place, very scary place. I'm sure some of those places, or a lot of those places, could exist because it's easy to do that.
Well, I think there's a lot of misperceptions about that as well. I think you're talking about two distinct things. I mean, I represent a ton of clients who are, possibly mafia related, have been involved in major drug trafficking type crimes, moving drugs from Mexico and so on and so forth. And we do a lot of cases like that, and we get very good results for them. The other side of it is that these individuals, some of them are actually operating legally under state California laws,
Right.
which have been passed. They're running businesses. Some of them are paying. They're upstanding tax members. They pay their taxes. Now they're dealing with this school where they're going to school. Some of them are learning how to follow the laws. They're all learning how to follow the laws of the state of California.
But the Fed could shut them down, but the Fed trumps state law.
No, it really
No,
doesn't.
It doesn't?
No,
Okay, explain
actually, that's a major misconception that people think the federal law trumps state law. No, actually, that's not the case. And this is one of those things that actually crosses political boundary lines, which is actually very interesting. Federal law exists in concert with state law. Just because something is legal in the state does not mean if it's illegal federally that federal law says, oh, state law, we're better than you. That is not the case, and that's actually been litigated in the medical marijuana field in San Diego several years ago, okay? What it means is that the feds can't come in and say, state law, you are less than us. But they still do have double jurisdiction, okay? They can come in and say, this is illegal under federal law, we're going to prosecute. But that does not negate the
And doesn't mean a
legality.
slam dunk that they're going to win?
Well, under federal law, it does.
Well,
it's
then
not.
that is kind of a trump.
No, it's really not. I mean, if understanding that the term Trump means that federal law is better or means that they can say a state law is not legitimate, no, that's not the case. The feds can come in and enforce federal law, which says marijuana is illegal, which
they're doing now. So let me ask you this before we wrap. I want to know what happens next. What are these places that are operating within the state law going to expect? Because it looks like the city now has changed their view on this. They've gotten much more aggressive, and apparently the feds have gotten much more aggressive. So what's going to happen?
that's really open to question. And the reason, and the thing is it's really hard to understand why the feds are doing this at this point. For the state, these things, especially like Oaksterdam and people that have been operating under California law, you've got to understand, they're bringing in, not only they're operating under state law correctly, they're bringing in, I believe last year, over $105 million in state tax. Okay, they're paying their tax. These are not gang members. These are not cartels from Mexico or Colombia or anywhere else funneling money out of the United States or out of California. These are people who are operating under the law and who are feeding money back into our state. And so you've got to question why the federal government would come in and put a stop to that.
And why now?
Why? You've got to ask yourself.
Campaign year.
But okay, but let me ask you a
Exactly.
question. Does this help Obama? Does this help the Obama administration? And who?
This is a highly litigated issue. I mean, this is a big issue right now, particularly in California. Okay, and so this is during a campaign year to do something so, crazy like this. I mean, they're really going into the school, shut down the school. Okay, the school's operating.
The
This
school
is an
done?
education.
It's over?
The school's closed as of right now, and they're probably going to go into litigation about it.
It's under investigation, and under
Yeah.
federal law, there's no question it's illegal. Okay, it's no question federally it's illegal, but you have to question why the feds would do this at this juncture, because not only is it just, if you think, the feds want to look strong on drugs per se, okay, but which you would think would just not appeal to Republicans. But if you think about it, a lot of Republicans who are anti-big government, they're anti-big federal
saying,
government.
why are you doing this? Exactly.
Why are you doing this? Even if they're anti-pot, they don't want pot anywhere near their kids. They don't want pot legal. They don't want
everything.
anything.
So who's the constituents that they're getting from this?
I'm
That's what I
really
want to know.
not sure, because they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot both ways. They're pissing off the Democrats who are like, look, this is legal in our state, leave us alone. And I would have to guess that they're also upsetting Republicans who are like, look, big government, get off my back.
Yeah, but it's maybe 50 plus voters where he's lacking. You know what I mean? That are more conservative voters, not because they're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, but because they're 50 plus voters, and they're saying we don't want pot shops.
Right, but at the same time, they don't want big government stepping in and telling them, once you've decided something is law in your state, you come in and say, no, yeah, maybe it is, but we're going to
But this
prosecute
isn't
you
accidental.
anyways.
You're smart. You're number one in your class. Smarter. How big was your class, by the way?
I'm not sure.
Look at you, Miss number one. In the class. Everything is focused. This isn't just an accident, and the timing is not just an accident because Oaksterdam, like you said, has been running for how long?
Since 2007.
So all of a sudden, they decided 2012, March, April, they're deciding we're going to close
it's
this down.
convenient.
It's really
it's
strange.
convenient. It's the right time.
You
this
have
is
to
a
ask
highly
yourself
litigated
who's
issue.
making these decisions. And it's not. People like to think that there's just an automatic line straight up to the top of the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, or whomever. But there's really not. I mean, there's a lot of layers in between. There's the federal prosecutors. There's the FBI that does their that does their investigations and stuff. Who knows who's trying to benefit from this?
Will we know? Do you think we're going to find? I got to run, but do you think we're going to find out?
I think we will. The investigation is just beginning.
Are you guys litigating this?
We're not at this point, but we would be happy to.
You made that weird not eye contact thing.
Yeah,
you can't say, or you can. You're lying to me. We
I'd
hardly
be-
know each other, but you better not be lying to me.
I'd be happy
When you
to.
invite us back,
anyone
we'll come
who
back.
wants
We'll
to
come
my
talk about
way-
the entire investigation.
Anyone who wants to come my way will get zealous advocation. I'll tell you that.
And wait a
That's
minute,
right.
you got to run because we're late. But you do mobsters? You represent mobsters?
Well, we do a lot of drug trafficking type crimes across the United States. We're a multi-jurisdictional law firm, so there's a lot of individuals who potentially are associated with that type of business and need representation. We're talking right now. We're in the legal. We're talking about legal California law, legal marijuana dispensaries
Got it.
versus illegal trafficking of drugs and so on and so forth. So yes, we represent all spectrums of the drug crime arena.
Look at you.
But-
It's the got smirks out of both
But
of you.
even so, those people, even if they're affiliated with organizations, a lot of criminal defense is not really about representing just that person. A lot of basic criminal defense is about really representing the people of this nation, the people of the state of California, and their constitutional rights. And what we see a lot of times is and I do a lot of federal litigation, is small town cops, and best intentioned as they may be, violating people's constitutional rights. And look, whether you're an illegal alien or you're a citizen of the United States, if you're violating people's constitutional rights, you're doing illegal searches and seizures, you're right. I'm going to be there. Whether you're a member of a gang or you're the valedictorian of your high school, I'm going to be there to stand up for you and say,
Calm
I'm
down.
sorry.
I see how you got your cum laude. Okay, Jennifer Wirsching, thank you. We'll have you back. Definitely have you back. Gina Tennen, thank you for
Thank
coming
you
in.
very much.
Thank you
Was this
very
issue
much.
and other issues crop up, you'll be
Any
You'll be
any
that'd be
criminal
great.
law issues
We're
that you
available.
need.
Thank you very much.
You
I
got it.
appreciate it. Talk Radio
Thank
790 KABC. Coming up, what we know now about Trayvon Martin, because there's new stuff, and we'll give you that information too. And also Wisconsin primaries tomorrow. Just go through real quickly how important Wisconsin is, because Romney ain't pleasing the ladies. And Santorum's bowling. What?